Assalamualaikum everyone, welcome back to this channel. This is me Ali Vaid and you are on the channel of Medicare. So as you know that we have started the lectures of pharmacy practice and in which we are discussing the extemporaneous dispensing and we have discussed the solution topic in it. Now we are going to start the next topic which is about the suspension. So, what are suspension? You already know that they are the liquid dosage form in which one or more ingredient are dispersed into the vehicle. They are not dissolved. So, never mention the word of dissolve in within the definition of suspension. They are dispersed into the suspensions. Their particles are not completely soluble into the vehicle. So that's why before taking the suspension we give advice to the patient that you have to first take it and then you have to take it. So in the book it is written that suspensions are very important pharmaceutical dosage form and they are used for a lot of emergency formulation and they can be used as a airdrop enema inhalation lotion and mixture for the oral use. Now they have defined the pharmaceutical suspension. It is a liquid preparation that it can has at least one active ingredient suspended throughout the vehicle. You can use the word of suspended or the word of dispersing. Never use the word of dissolve within the definition of suspension. By and the definition of suspension according to British Pharmacopoeia, they are the oral preparations, oral liquid that contain one or more ingredients suspended in a suitable vehicle. Same as the definition of solution was. In solution, we have defined that they are the oral liquid in which one or more active ingredient are dissolved in a suitable vehicle. While within the definition of suspension, we will say that these are all the oral liquid preparation having one or more ingredient that are suspended or dispersed in a suitable vehicle. And next, they have given you the advantages and disadvantages of suspension. Okay, next they have given some advantages of suspension and disadvantages. So the first advantage is that it is useful for a lot of insoluble drugs that are insoluble into the water. They and a lot of drugs that are insoluble, we can make the suspension out of it. Next advantage of suspension is that very insoluble drugs they are more stable in the suspension form. Suspension insoluble products are easily to swallow. So whenever in the patient who cannot take the medicine, so we can give them suspension having the insoluble powders, and it is very easy route to administer, and the absorption through it is very quick and the lotions can be given in this form because it has the sustained release dosage form. Next is the disadvantages. So we have to require shaking before the use of it because all the particles of flocule settle down at the bottom and it will make our medication ineffective. So that's why we have to make it effective so that we have to shake it before the use. Then accuracy of dose is less equal to the solution. Storage conditions can affect it and there are some chances of its breakage. So that's why these are all the disadvantages of using the suspension. Next we have some general principles of suspension preparation. First of all we have that its general preparation of suspension is just similar to the solution is. Now they have explained that we have pharmaceutical two types of suspension: diffusible suspension and indiffusible suspension. So the first type is diffusible suspension. So these are the suspensions that contain light powder, those which are insoluble or they can be slightly soluble into the water. But on shaking, they will be dispersed evenly throughout the vehicle for long enough to allow the accurate dose to be poured. Okay, now let's understand the diffusible suspension easily. So these are those kind of suspension where the powder particles are very light. they are not too heavy that they settle down. They are light in nature, they have very low density. That's why they will and their nature is not soluble, they are insoluble, or they can be slightly soluble, partially soluble you can say, but their density is very low. That's why they don't stick to the bottom, and they can easily disperse into the liquid. Just we need a little bit of shaking, and then they can easily disperse easily. That's why they are very good for the long enough, and it allow the accurate dosage form. And we don't need any kind of suspending agent for it, because now the particles are not settling down because of their light density, and that's why they will be remain dispersed. And even if some particles settle to down, then we can shake it, and then it will disperse again, and now we can take it. So that's why we don't need to put the suspending agent into the diffusible suspension. While when we talk about the indiffusible suspension, now we need to put the suspending agent into it. So this is the one of the major difference between the diffusible suspension and the indiffusible suspension. Now we will move to the next page. They have given you some examples of diffusible powders that are insoluble, and that are can be partially soluble into the water, but they are easily soluble. They are very light in nature, that's why they can easily suspend into the our vehicle. For example, light kaolin bp, its density is very low, but it is insoluble into the water. Next is the light magnesium carbonate. One is the heavy magnesium carbonate, another is the light magnesium carbonate. So the light magnesium carbonate is slightly soluble into the water, and magnesium trisilidate, it is insoluble into the water. Okay, so these kind of suspension, and these are the powders that are making the diffusible suspensions. Now we are moving toward the next type of the suspension, which is the indiffusible suspensions. So these are the suspension that contain very heavy powders having high density, and that's why they stick to the bottom, and they are insoluble in vehicle, and they cannot be partially soluble. That is the second difference, that in diffusible suspension the powders can be insoluble or can be partially soluble, but in case of indiffusible suspensions all the powders are insoluble, none of them will be slightly soluble, and which on checking will not disperse evenly throughout the vehicle, allow us to accurate. For example of indiffusible powders are like aspirin powder, calamine, chalk, and zinc oxide. All of these powders are very heavy in nature, that's why they will stick and they will not easily disperse. They will settle down quickly, and we have to make a lot of efforts to resuspend it. That's why we need a suspending agent in the case of indiffusible suspension. So whenever someone asks you in the Viva question the great difference between the diffusible and the indiffusible suspension, so please mention the point of need of suspending agent or not, and also mention the heaviness or the lightness of a powder, and give the examples also. Next, in the preparation of indiffusible solids, the main difference between the diffusible suspension is that mixture vehicle must be thicker to slow down the rate at which the powder settle. So this is achieved by the addition of suspending agent. So the major difference is that you have to make your vehicle more thicken, so that the powder should not be settled down. And to make a vehicle more and more thicker, we add suspending agent in case of indiffusible suspension, because when your vehicle become more thick it doesn't allow the particles to settle down. For example, honey, its viscosity is too high that it doesn't allow all the particles within it to settle down. It will make them disperse, while the particles into the water they can easily settle to the bottom. Okay, because the water has less viscosity. So if you have any preparation that we have to add into the water, and water having low viscosity, so to increase the viscosity of water we will add any suspending agent to it. And always every suspending agent have a jelly like nature, like acacia, targacant. They have the jelly like thickness, so when they add into the water they make a jelly like paste, and then they will be easy for us to dispense or the indiffusible products into it. Next we will discuss the formulation of suspension. So how we will formulate our suspension, now we are discussing it. So the non soluble ingredients, always the suspension is made for all of the those kind of medication that are insoluble or that can be partially soluble into our vehicle. And now the density of the aqueous vehicle is altered slightly by the addition of sucrose and glycerol. Okay, so now if you have to change the viscosity of your aqueous vehicle, you will add any suspending agent. And suspending agent can be sucrose and glycerol that will increase the viscosity and doesn't allow your insoluble particles to settle down. And the detail of suspending agent they have given to you. You will and in the suspension you can add the other additives like coloring agent, flavoring agent, and other stabilizing agent. These kind of things can be added. Next I have explained to you that it must be remembered with the large surface area of the dispersed powder, some of the additives are may absorb into the powder and therefore effective concentration in solution may be reduced. For example, the concentration of dye may produce a pale color powder. All of these things are very boring. So the things that are important and the things that you have to keep in your mind is that the formulation of suspension, first it contain the vehicle, which is the water or can be any other vehicle depending upon the nature of your drug or your medication. The second thing that need for the formulation of suspension is your suspending agent. That can be any thing that thickens your vehicle, for example tragacanth powder, etc. Then you can add any additives into it like the coloring agent and the flavoring agent. And the last agent you can add is the preservative, as it is explaining here. So they have added the double strength chloroform here. So these are the preservatives that we add into our suspension to make it stable for a long time. So double strength chloroform water, benzoic acid 0.1%, and chlorocresinol that is mentioned here is about 0.1% weight by volume. All of them are the your preservatives that we add to make our suspension stable. Now the next thing they have explained to you, the suspension as a emergency formulation. We have explained in the first page of suspension that it is considered as a emergency formulation. Why? Now we will study that why we called it as it. So they have explained in addition to the establishment formulae, the compounders may be required to produce a suitable liquid preparation for the patient who are unable to swallow the tablet or capsule. Occasionally, the medication may require only available commercially at the solid dosage form. If the liquid dosage form is unavailable, the compounder may accept to prepare a liquid product. So normally crushing of the tablet, opening of the capsule is provided. While preparing a suspension from a solid dosage form, it must be remembered that the tablet or capsule will contain unknown excipient as well as the normal quality. So bioavailability of drug is unknown. If possible, a pure sample of powder drug should be obtained in order to produce a suspension without the extemporaneous components. However, in cases where the solid dosage form is only the source of drug, tragacan powder, compound tragaper are suitable suspending agent. Okay, in this paragraph, they have explained to you that why the suspension is the emergency formulation. Because when you go for towards the pharmacy to compound anything, and you have an emergency case, then it is very hard to crush a tablet or take the powder out of it, and then you have to make any other dosage form. But the suspension is such a dosage form that can be prepared, whether you have a solid dosage form, whether you have a liquid dosage form. You just have to need any kind of suspending agent, and your formulation is ready. So this is very quick way to prepare a dosage form, and that's why it is very beneficial in the emergency cases. Next, we will see the oral diffusible suspensions, mean those kind of diffusible suspension which contain diffusible powder in them, and they are used for the oral intake. So, general method by which we can prepare the diffusible suspension are given as: first, you have to check the solubility. You have to identify which solid is soluble in which kind of vehicle. In the diffusible powders, they are easily dispersed into our vehicle, so you have to check whether your solid is completely dispersible into our vehicle or not. So you have to select your vehicle according to the nature of your medicament. Second, you have to calculate the vehicle quantity, that how much vehicle you have to add to dissolve or to suspend a specific solid. Okay, so next thing, you have to prepare any double strength chloroform water, because the chloroform water, it is using as a preservative. So you have to firstly prepare it, because then we will add it into then you have to dissolve the soluble solid, and you have to mix the insoluble diffusible powder. You have to make the smooth paste of it by the doubling up technique. What is doubling up technique? This is a technique in which you add the smallest quantity of powder A, and then you will add the largest quantity of powder B, and in partial, and then you will add the other powders by this doubling up technique. And you can make the smooth paste by the doubling up technique. Yeah, like you add the small quantity of vehicle into the powder, make a smooth paste, and then you will measure it consistency, do all the things, and then you will add remaining liquids, and then you will do that. Now the doubling up technique is also given here, and on the first paragraph they have given you some suspending agents and their examples also. Like, some are natural polysaccharides that are given here: acacia gum, agar compound, tragacanth powder, tragacanth, and starches given here. Some are semi-synthetic, some are natural polysaccharide, some are semi-synthetic, like methyl cellulose, hydroxyl cellulose. Next are some clays are also using, like bentonite is very important. Some synthetic agent like carbomer, polyvinyl alcohol, and some miscellaneous compound like gelatin, they are also used as a suspending agent. Now we will see what is a doubling up technique. So the first point is that you have to weigh the powder which is in the smallest volume, which volume is very very low and very very small quantity it has. Then you have to weigh the powder B, which have the largest volume. One is smallest volume, other is the largest volume. You have to add the same amount of powder B as the powder A in the mortar. So you have to take the equal amount of both of them, like the powder B and the powder A. Add continuously, adding the amount of powder B approximately same as in the pestle or mortar, mixed by the double amount of powder in the pestle or mortar added. If further powders are to be added, then add these in increasing order of volume at the step 3, 4, and 5 above. Okay, so if you have two powders, first you will add the smallest volume powder, like 5 gram of powder A and the 5 gram of powder B. Okay, mix them. Then you will add the next 5 gram of powder A and the 5 gram of powder B. Then you will add the remaining 5 gram of powder B. If you have any other powder like the powder C and D, you will do the same procedure as we have done with the powder A and the powder B. So this was all about the doubling up technique. Okay, after that you have to add your suspending agent into your diffusible suspension. Suspending agent can be natural polysaccharide, can be semi-synthetic, can be a clay, or can be a synthetic agent. And after that you have to add your preservatives, make up the final volume, and transfer it to the suitable container. Next we have some oral diffusible suspensions. So we have some oral diffusible suspensions that are usually indiffusible into our liquid. So the main difference is that now we have to put the suspending agent into it. No doubt we have also added the suspending agent into the diffusible suspending agent. But in the diffusible suspending agent, if we don't add any suspending agent, still our suspension is stable. But to increase more stability, we add it, if we add the suspending agent, but there is no need for it. But the oral indiffusible suspension, they cannot be stable without the suspending agent, so suspending agent is very necessary for them. Okay, so now you have to combine the both of your indiffusible solids by the doubling up technique that we have discussed in this way. So now we will do the general method to prepare the suspension containing indiffusible powders. So first of all, you will check the solubility. Same thing, you measure the quantity of your vehicle. You prepare the preservative, which is the double strength chloroform with 1 by 20 dilution with it. Weigh all the solutes and then you will add into the beaker. If need, if you have to make the fine powder, then you can. And then you have to follow doubling up technique, and then you have to make up the final volume, adding the preservatives and other additives, and then you will transfer it to the final preparation. Now there is written that some suspension for external use can be given here. Let's see them. Okay, so the first externally used suspension is inhalations that are given through the inhalation route, and the second external preparation is can be a lotion. Now there is the first example of a mixture that occur as a suspending agent, which is magnesium triacylate. We have read this powder, and we have read it into our chapter that it is a diffusible powder, and we have to make 150 ml of mixture of it. And we have given the official formula for 1000. It has the magnesium trisilicate, light magnesium carbonate into it, which is a light powder, sodium bicarbonate, concentrated peppermint emulsion is in it. This can emulsion, it can be a suspending agent. Now double strength chloroform water, which act as a preservative, and the potable water. For 1000 ml, their calculations are there. Now for 150 ml, you have to calculate all the values for it. Like we can do the calculations here. For first compound is the magnesium trisilicate. For 1000 gram, we need 50 gram of it. Okay. Now we have to make 150. For 1 gram, we have 50 over 1000. For 150, we will multiply 150 with it. Now cut all the zeros. Now 5 1 the 5, 5 2 the 10, and then it will become approximately 2.5 gram. Okay. So this is how you will perform all of these calculations. Then you will prepare your double strength chloroform water, adding 5 ml of concentrated chloroform into the 100 ml of water, and you can prepare it. After that you have to add all of these solutions into each other. And first of all, you have to make the chloroform water, then you have to add sodium bicarbonate here according to their weight. Yeah, so this is the weight of them. according to 150 ml. So we have all the grams are same here, so we can add both, all of them in no order should be followed there. Then you will add first 3.7 ml, then you will add 75 ml, and then you make up the final volume according to it. Okay, so these are all of its preparation procedure. So you have to add small amount of sodium bicarbonate into the pestle mortar, slowly adding the sodium bicarbonate, and then you have to add uh, yeah, emulsion into it, and then you will measure all the volume, and same kind of things will be given. Now the next example is the chalk mixture pre-addict 100 ml. So these are all the things that need for it for 1000 ml, and now for 100 ml their calculation. Now double strength chloroform water. So now we have to like see here, double strength chloroform water we need 50 ml, not the 100 ml. So now we cannot make 5 ml of double strength water into the 100 ml. Now we have to make other solution which is for 50 ml. For 50 ml we will add 2.5 ml of chloroform water. Okay, first you will prepare your chloroform water, then you will add the tragacanth into it, measure all the weighing grams. Like for 100 ml you can see the grams here, 2 gram, 200 mg, and 0.2 200 mg is smallest weight. First you will add it, then you will add 2 gram, then you will add the gradual of these liquids. Okay. Okay, guys, so the next example given here is the 50 ml of menthol eucalyptus inhalation. It's all the product are given here. For 100 we have to make 50 ml, so 50 ml calculation is given here. So first of all you will add this 1 gram, then you will add 2.5 gram, and then you will add 5 ml and make up the final 50 ml volume. First 1 ml menthol, then 5 ml oil in pestle and mortar, and then you will do all of these procedures that are given here. Next example is this, you can do it. Yeah, for it you have to give a hospital formula, like the prescription is given to you, that you have a 10 mg per 5 ml suspension, and you have to make the 150 ml total of it, and all the concentration is given here. Okay, guys, so now here we have given a prescription of a liquid which is called as clozapam liquid, and it is only available commercially tablet, and the patient have to require the 10 mg at each dose, but the unfortunately cannot dose preparation. The hospital pharmacy give you this prescription. Now our patient need 10 mg each dose, and we need total 30 dose. Okay, guys, so why we need 30 doses? Because now you see here these are all the calculations for 5 ml, because our suspension was 10 mg per 5 ml, 10 mg of clorazepam per 5 ml of the solution, but we have to make 150 ml. 10 mg is one tablet, so 1000 mg will be 10 tablets, and 300 tablets will be 30 tablets. We have to take 30 tablets, that will be it added into the 150 ml. While you do all of these calculations here, doing all the steps here, we will count the 30 tablets of this compound. We will add all of these things, and then we will make our final preparation. Summary of essential preparation related to it, that's not important. Next we have what summary of packaging. So oral liquids of suspension is ambered flat bottle, while the external liquids amber fluted bottle. That is important thing. Packaging is same, discarded date is same, labeling shake the bottle not to be taken and for external use only. These are all the labels that can be added into it. So this was all about the today's lecture. I hope that you will understand this and still if you have some confusion then please let me down and write your question in the comment box and I will give answer to you. So make sure to subscribe this channel. Meet you soon in the next lecture. Allah Hafiz.